There it is, MLB DFS Strategy Show, Thursday, November 13th. I am scrambling here, but I think we're ready to go. There's the transition, since I didn't click that button. I am here. I'm joined by Adam Scherer. We've got a 5-gamer to break down, so this should be, and a 4-gamer on FanDuel, no less. So this one should be pretty easy for us. Adam, what's going on, man?
What's up, man? Looking forward to another good day of sports.
You and me both, honestly. There's so much going on. Baseball, basketball, PGA kicking off today. We got a ton to watch. I'm assuming there's hockey. I don't follow it.
Yeah, hockey, but the Caps aren't playing, so I don't really care.
That's how I feel about it just being hockey. There's hockey playing, so I just don't care.
So someone told me on Twitter yesterday that I was, missing out not watching playoff hockey, which I agree. Like, playoff hockey is great, but I was just like, I kind of tried to make time to watch a little bit of the Caps game, but it's competing with baseball and basketball and 24-hour-a-day DFS. Like, I'm just not going to be watching much hockey.
So I feel like a lot of people say playoff hockey is incredible. Is it?
I love playoff hockey.
Why is it better? What's the change that makes playoff hockey better than regular hockey?
I think just the intensity, and it's like, I mean, there's it's kind of like baseball in that there's the random breaks. So like, you're kind of just on edge for one puck to bounce the wrong way and change like the entire series. I don't know. I've always found it really enjoyable, despite being a Capitals fan and it almost never going my way.
Yeah, it's kind of tough for you guys. So let's see here. Game 7 in 2019 Blues Bruins got 8.7 million viewers. Game 1 got 5.2. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. That's pretty good for hockey. No complaints.
Like, just because of like how, because I mean, like, if you score, it's so hard to score in hockey too. So like, it's kind of the equivalent of like if every playoff baseball game were being played in the bottom of the 9th inning, sort of. Because like, if you score a goal in a hockey game, that's a pretty substantial like development, and it can just happen randomly at any time.
That's fair. I don't know. It's not for me. Too much going on. Team PGA nowadays. Although, let's hope that Webb starts getting a couple more double bogeys like he did early. Because
that today started much better than it's currently going.
Yeah. Oh, birdie. I don't need it. Guys, before we get started, hit that like button as you come in. Helps us out a ton. We're going to hit on one thing quickly out of the gate. Adam, I don't know if you've heard this before, but Alex Baker won an MLB GPP last night. Took down $50K.
That only happens 4 times a week.
Yeah, it never fails, and it happened again last night. The $15 250K relay throw on DraftKings taken down by Alex Baker. Zach Eflin, Zach Greinke. So he went double Zachs. That's the winner of my poll for last night. 4 Zachs on the slate. 2-man twin stack. 2-man Astros stack. No, not 2. Well, 2-man twin stack. What's the other 2? I know there's another 2. 2-man Mets stack. 1-1-1-1. Clear across the board. A largely unstacked winner for one Alex
Just
Baker.
Like you draw it up.
Exactly. Man, people are going to freak out about that. Man. I mean, you gotta just hit like the stone cold nuts, sort of. And he certainly did. Eflin went for 20, Greinke went for 25, and then it's just pure fire. Austin Nolan.
It was kind of funny because like I was looking through my teams where like none of the stacks were really going off, but some individual players were, and I was thinking like, man, this would be the perfect night to not have a stacked team. And then I look at the top, and it's just like, you got to be shitting me.
Yeah, he got the memo early. Austin Nolan, 19. Dom Smith, 27. Brandon Lau, 28. Bregman, 10. Polanco, 11. Byron Buxton, 31. Juan Soto, 35. Michael Conforto, 22. And 50 G's straight to Alex. He profited $49,985 with that lineup. He spent $49,800 on that lineup. So got all of his profit back on just the baseball salaries. Terrible joke, but it doesn't really
I was trying
matter.
to figure out what you were talking about. I didn't know. I was like, in lineup study now, you can see how much someone had on one lineup.
No, he's just the profit number and the salary spent is different by $100. So fun to look at. We got a 5-gamer going for today, which is nice. I wasn't really looking forward to balancing like a 13-gamer today. I'm on NBA Live before lock. Do we have any weather news we want to touch on right out of the gate?
There's weather concerns in the Baltimore and Philly game, which is obviously big because it's a 5-game slate and because the Baltimore pitcher throws 85 miles an hour. So taking cares against him will be probably pretty fun. It seems like the rain should die out as we get later in the day. The game's scheduled for 4:05, so they do have plenty of time to get it in. Probably mostly an issue of does the field hold up under the rain, and can they get the tarp on the field, unlike the Nats grounds crew.
And it looks, so I think they're going to be okay, at least. Maybe a little bit of a late start for Baltimore Philly if you need to, but I'm going to treat it like we're going to be okay for right now. As usual, tune into MLB Live before lock for a bit of an update. You ready to just dive in?
Yep.
First game up on the docket, Phillies and Orioles. Right? Yeah, that's right. Phillies and Orioles. Phillies 5.4 run implied total. Orioles 4. So it's a 65% chance to win. Jake Arrieta going for the Phillies. Tom Eshelman going for the Orioles. Tell me what stands out to you here. You going to Arrieta against a, lackluster Orioles team?
One of the best offenses in baseball right now.
Sure thing.
Is what you meant. But no, I mean, I think it depends on what the Orioles lineup looks like. But assuming we get the typical Baltimore lineup, I'm not that interested in Arrieta. His strikeout stuff against righties is much better than against lefties. But you should get a pretty balanced lineup from Baltimore. Some decent lefties in there with Santander, Ruiz, Dwight Smith Jr., not Chris Davis. So I think kind of a decent spot for Arrieta, but not a great spot, not a great pitcher. Kind of neutral on him. Like on a 5-game slate and 150 lineups, I'm sure I'll have some, but it's not someone that I'm really excited about getting to unless Baltimore runs out a weird lineup with a bunch of righties.
31% owned on DraftKings right now for Arrieta, 17% on FanDuel. Does 31% feel about right to you?
Feels high.
Okay. Let's see what's around him. So, yeah, Desclafani is sort of the same. I mean, really, we're kind of just splitting the ownership cleanly across 6 people. There's a pretty big gap. Like, Yu Darvish is clearly the top guy at 41%. Paddock is the low guy at 20%. But everybody under Arrieta in salary is in single digits in ownership. So,
yeah, I mean, I guess when you
only have 10, 2 of them are like fully shit.
Right. It makes sense why he's getting it. Like I don't have projections in front of me, but I would guess projects for like 13 DraftKings points or 14 DraftKings points, probably right around like 2 times his salary.
I've got him at 13.6, so hell of a call there. Decent work.
Yeah.
I like that. I mean, it feels so safe because Baltimore stinks. Sorry, dude.
I mean, they don't, but
they do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If he's getting 30% ownership, I'm interested in Baltimore.
Well, let's talk about that then, because I assume that we are both not starting Eshelman, right?
No.
Okay. Baltimore is picking up 4% aggregate ownership on DraftKings. Santander, the leader in the clubhouse, with 9 on DK. He's got 10 on FanDuel. That's the spot you're looking for. I'm assuming. I'm guessing you love Santander. He really grades out well for me too, going up against Arrieta. What do you want to do with this Baltimore team? You think you get to hedge stacks?
Yeah, I really like Santander. I think Ruiz and Dwight Smith Jr. are both good plays as well. And then you're kind of just hoping that like Renato Nunez gets a hanging slider or something. So you can always go to like an Austin Hayes or Iglesias too. The main pieces though would be Santander, Ruiz, and Smith looking to get some left-handed power against Arrieta. I did notice he's throwing his slider to righties like twice as much this year. It's still not a particularly good pitch. It's not getting a ton of swings and misses, but that is driving up his strikeout percentage a little bit because it gets more swings and misses than his fastball. But nothing's really changed against lefties, so I'm still pretty confident in going to left-handed power against him.
Okay, let's talk about this Phillies team because there's a ton of ownership coming in here. That should not be surprising. Phillies with the highest implied total on the slate. and they get to face Tom Eshelman. So Phillies are my number one stack on both sites. I assume they are the number one team in the top stack tool by quite a bit. How are you going to manage Philly on a 5-gamer? Assuming they play,
I think
obviously.
They look great. Yeah, I mean, I think they look great. Tom Eshelman, I wasn't joking. He averages about 85.5 miles an hour on his fastball. He relies on locating well, which he sometimes does, sometimes doesn't. I really don't know how he's in Major League Baseball, much like professional baseball, much less Major League Baseball. I did pull up the Philly numbers against fastballs less than 90 miles an hour over the last couple of years, just because I was curious. Hoskins, Realmuto, Segura, Harper all jumped out as being good, particularly Hoskins. It was interesting to me that Bruce has really had virtually no power. Neither has Gregorius, neither has McCutchen. They all have ISOs below 100 against right-handed fastballs, 90 miles an hour or slower. Take that for what it's worth. It's just one data point, but that did jump out as something that maybe if you're going to what will be a really popular stack, you can kind of, pick and choose your way around and, maybe avoid some of these guys that are popular and for whatever reason haven't shown much power against what Eshelman throws.
Philly at the top of the top stack tool, just a hair above the Rays. They're projecting to be just slightly over-owned. That doesn't really bother me at all. I think they're pretty clearly the top offense for today. I assume I'll have a ton. You just have to be really cognizant with the rest of your lineup. Although on a 5-game slate, you just really don't have much of a choice. I can't imagine not wanting to have Philadelphia today.
Yeah, completely agree. Especially because it's not like Eshelman's the type of pitcher who in any way, shape, or form, you would consider rostering for leverage.
No.
So if you're fading Philly, you're kind of just taking this weird stand that Philly doesn't do well and the $6,300 pitcher doesn't do well.
Do you have any bats that stand out most to you for the Phillies?
Hoskins.
Yeah. McCutchen is 2,400 on FanDuel. So it's McCutchen for me on FanDuel, but it's Hoskins for me on DraftKings. He's tops. Yeah, I don't know how you get away from Philly. The park is great. The matchup is great. The run total is great. Other than the weather, every single piece of this game just screams Philly should be highly owned.
Yep.
I don't have anything else really to say here. This just go Phillies, I guess. I mean, I've never really said that in my life. I don't like it.
They're not even that expensive. It's like the average salary. I mean, you have a couple guys over 5K, but on DraftKings, the average salary of the top 5 hitters is like 4,800.
Yes, it is. Yeah. I mean, Gregorius for 4,700 as a shortstop, that obviously works. If you got to pay up 5K for Harper and Realmuto, that's totally fine, especially Realmuto at catcher. Yeah, I love it. I anticipate Philly being my top stack just no matter what. I don't think that the ownership will ever get high enough that it'll swing me the other direction. I'm way more likely to be fading the Rays than the Phillies. Not that I don't like the Rays, but otherwise I'm just holding hands the whole way. I don't think Philly will be the team that takes the discount. Anything else in this one?
Nope.
God, Eshelman stinks, man.
I don't understand how he's in the major leagues.
5.8 steamer projected FIP with a 13% K rate. I mean, that's just, how do you get that's truly brutal. Then we go to Boston. Boston Red Sox hosting the Tampa Bay Rays. Red Sox 4.3 run implied total. Rays 5.2. Kyle Hart going for the Red Sox. Tyler Glasnow going for the Rays. Hart picking up a little bit of ownership on DraftKings, 9%. He's 5,100, just a natural paydown option. Glasnow, on the other hand, 20% owned on FanDuel, 29% owned on DraftKings. What do you want to do with Glasnow? I think he looks great. Obviously we know he's a monstrous strikeout pitcher. Not really a great strikeout matchup, though, against Boston. So what do you want to do with Glasnow?
I'm really kind of concerned about him.
Yeah.
But also the strikeout numbers, like you said, are amazing. When he was with Pittsburgh, his problem was he could not throw strikes. And then he came over to Tampa Bay in the Chris Archer deal. They seemingly taught him how to throw strikes. His walk percentage drop last year was 6.1%. Prior to that, in his stints in the major leagues, it was 12.5, 14.5, 11.3. Last year, it dropped to 6.1%. So far this year, he's at 15.7%. So he's basically just gotten back all of his issues so far through his first 3 starts. Boston, looking at them, it's a really good plate discipline matchup. So, like this season so far, Glasnow has the lowest first pitch strike percentage of his career, the lowest chase percentage on pitches out of the zone for his career, the lowest percentage of pitches in the strike zone since 2016. And like I said, his walk percentage is up at almost 16%. But Boston has the highest chase percentage in baseball, the 5th highest swinging strike percentage in baseball, 2nd highest overall swing percentage in baseball, and the 4th lowest walk percentage. So at first, I was thinking, okay, this is a spot where he should be able to kind of alleviate those issues that he's been having.
Yeah.
But if you look at the teams that he faced in his first 3 starts, he faced the Yankees, the Braves, and the Orioles. The Orioles are 2nd highest chase percentage, 8th highest swinging strike percentage, and the highest swing percentage, and he still was walking these guys. The Braves aren't much better than the Orioles in any of those bats, and he still was walking. So I have pretty legitimate concerns about Glasnow's ability to throw strikes, but he's still only $9,100. The Red Sox are not very good. They have basically 3.5 good hitters in this lineup, and they've been awful this year. They're missing Benintendi now, which is someone that can drive up pitch counts as well. So I'm gonna roster Glasnow. I just am really concerned about his walk numbers.
Do you think you're more likely to get Glasnow or Chris Paddock, separated by $300? Similar ownership too.
Yeah, 600 on DraftKings, but
oh yeah, I looked down to Desclafani, $600.
Yeah, I think Glasnow.
Okay.
The Red Sox just aren't the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And Glasnow's strikeout stuff is so much better than Paddock's, as good as Paddock is.
Okay. You going on the Kyle Hart experience?
I have not.
I don't get the sense that I would be either. If you're paying down, are you going to Trevor Williams by any chance?
Probably.
Oof. All right, we'll get there.
I mean, if I'm paying down, yeah, we'll get. We'll get there.
Oh, okay. Well, then we need to look at bats, and I think we're both on the same page here that the Rays look quite a bit better. Rays also picking up some ownership. They're 2nd in the top stack tool for right now, and they are slightly overowned as well. However, the difference between Tampa and Philly is Tampa is like truly, truly cheap. They are a full bargain clear across the board. How do you want to manage the Phillies versus the Rays? Do you like the Rays? Do you like them more than the Phillies? It's a tricky spot given their pricing.
I do like the Rays. I imagine that pricing is going to drive ownership so high. I mean, you kind of saw it last night. Like Brandon Lau was 22% owned on a 8-game slate, I think it was. Yeah. But you have Yandy Diaz here at 3,100. Mike Brosseau was, I think, 16% last time he faced a lefty a couple days ago. They're going to be really popular. Whereas the Phillies, they're not super expensive, but at least you have to pay for them a little bit. I imagine you're going to get Tampa being really, really popular relative to their top stack percentage, even though I do think it's a good spot.
Yeah, so right now we have little peek behind the curtain. Tampa's top stack odds, 16%, essentially tied with Philly. Their ownership share, essentially tied with Philly. They're both at 18. But the top value percentage, Philly's at 7%, Tampa is at 22. Tampa's just going to fly to the top of every optimizer, right? That's going to be the case, which is going to funnel to like Darvish, Chris Paddock builds, Darvish, Arrieta, Darvish, Desclafani. I think you're going to be able to do that if you're stacking up the Rays.
Yeah, you're going to get a ton of individual Rays ownership because basically no matter what build you go with, they help. If you're paying for 2 pitchers, you can full stack Tampa and then fit in a couple Phillies bats or whoever. If you're going cheaper at pitcher, you can full stack Phillies and then use 1 or 2 Tampa guys as value to round out your lineup. Yeah. They're just going to have so much, I think, individual ownership on the best plays. Maybe the aggregate stack percentage is kind of kept in check because guys towards the bottom are lower owned. But I think on the guys that you would really want in your lineup, you're going to have massive ownership.
Do you expect to be overweight or underweight on Tampa?
My guess is that I end up under on Tampa and over on Philly, like you had said.
Yep. Okay. Well, great minds, I guess. How do you feel about grabbing Red Sox bats against the ownership on Glass now? They do not grade out well for me as a stack. No one in double digits in ownership on DraftKings. Devers, Martinez, Bogarts slipping into the double digits on FanDuel. If you're going to own anybody on the Red Sox, it's certainly those three guys. Do you get to a Red Sox hedge stack, or are you avoiding Glass now?
I don't think I'll get to much Tampa to Boston. If I do, I prefer full stacks. But the problem is that, Glass now strikes you out or he walks you basically. And so the reason I prefer full stacks is that basically the way you're getting there is that Glass now gets out of the game early and you happen to get to a bullpen arm.
Sure.
Grabbing an individual hitter, like I'm not expecting Glass now to get touched up for a few home runs. So that's kind of the problem though. Like, even if Glass now has a bad start, and it's relatively unlikely that Boston does really great. It's pretty likely that you're just getting guys like walk, walk, single, and it's not really doing anything for the Boston stack, even though it's killing Glasnow. I'd be more interested in Boston if Glasnow couldn't hold a runner. He used to be terrible at holding runners, which was really a problem because he would walk everybody, and then they would steal to third base, and then he'd give up a run. But he did fix that when he came to Tampa as well. So that takes me off of Boston. He has allowed 2 stolen bases already this year, but only allowed 9 last year. So I think he's mostly solved the running problem.
I assume JD peeks his way into some lineups as a one-off for me, but I don't get the sense I'll have Boston. They grade out dead last for me. They're 9th in the top stack odds. It's just going to be Tampa bats for me, but probably lighter than the public. So it's a weird game. It's a really weird game from a DFS perspective. Any interest in becoming a baller?
Becoming.
Touche. Well, if you want to become a baller, if you're not already a baller, let's say that, because some people just aren't. If you want to become a baller, now is the time to do it. You can do that at Yahoo Sports. Yahoo is the presenting sponsor of all of our baseball shows now. You're going to find no management fee contest or even limited management fee contest. Those are going to be the best things you can find in this industry. Anytime that you can avoid fees on the top, it's going to improve your ROI dramatically. Better than any edge you'll likely find. You can get up to $30 in YSRPs. Those are Yahoo Sports rewards points. They're as good as cash. Use the promo code Awesemo when signing up at Yahoo. Go check out their contest. They got a lot of just 10 max contests. You're going to see a lot less of the true sharks trying to scoop your games. It's going to be a better spot for you. I think it's a really good place to start if you're trying to build your bankroll. I recommend checking out Yahoo for DFS. Again, the promo code is Awesemo. It will get you up to $30 in YSRPs. Let's keep it moving. Reds and Pirates. 5.1 run implied total for the Reds. 3.9 for the Pirates. It's a pretty big run total there for Cincinnati. Anthony Desclafani going for the Reds. Trevor Williams going for the Pirates. Desclafani 18% owned on FanDuel, 30% owned on DK. Trevor Williams, on the other hand, just 2% owned on FanDuel, only 8% owned on DraftKings. Of the pitching, what do you like most?
I actually like both of these pitchers, but I hate both of the lineups that they're going up against. We already have Cincy lineup and the Pittsburgh lineup. Desclafani's strikeout numbers have always been better against right-handed hitters. His slider is good. He uses it to get strikeouts. Pittsburgh is rolling out 6 lefties, and Desclafani does struggle with left-handed power, and he is pitching in Cincinnati. So that scares me a bit. Since last year, about a 23% strikeout percentage against lefties, which is fine, but he has allowed a 211 ISO. So kind of scary for Desclafani, especially because he's not cheap. And then on the other side, Williams, I'm actually intrigued by, especially when he goes up against right-handed heavy lineups. He's always been decent at limiting power, but this year he's throwing his slider way more than he did last year. So far, at least 44% slider usage to righties, and he has a 16% swinging strike percentage against righties. Nothing has translated to lefties though, and Cincinnati is running out, I think, 6 lefties. Yeah. So neither of these lineups set up particularly well for what the pitchers do well. Williams is just so cheap that on a slate that's lacking cheap pitching, if I need to get there, which I don't really know how much I'll need to, I'll still take a chance on him. But I'll like him a lot more in some future matchups than I do in this one.
I'm way more likely to get a little bit more Trevor Williams with 8% ownership than I am to get to 30% owned DeSclafani, given these lineups. This is just not a great spot for DeSclafani.
I kind of like Pittsburgh.
I want to like... So I don't like them on the surface, but I like them more if I'm trying to grab a hedge stack. It's a great park to try to grab a hedge stack as well. Whether it's righty power or lefty power, it's all getting played up in Cincinnati. So, someone like Josh Bell or Gregory Polanco, these are great spots. The problem is there's just no power in this Pittsburgh offense. It's a lot of
pretty much
super
Bell,
low.
You have average to slightly above average power from Polanco and Brian Reynolds. Moran is average. Bell has got a ton, but other than that, it's not exciting.
Per steamer, Adam Frazier, 134. Kevin Newman, 116. Eric Gonzalez, 123. Jared Dyson, 103. Jacob Stallings, 125. That's where it gets a little tricky for me, but the park will certainly help. I just assume it's way easier for me to be underweight on DeSclafani. If I get to some Pittsburgh bats, I'll consider that a bonus. I don't know how much I'm going to get to without truly forcing it. They are picking up a bit more ownership on FanDuel. Josh Bell and Adam Frazier both getting into the 20s in ownership. If I take a look at their top stack odds, Pittsburgh looking pretty neutral. Cincinnati looking pretty neutral. Nobody's really taking a big stand other than your Baltimore Orioles, massively under-owned as of right now.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I looked at the top stack tool, and if this holds, I'm going to have so much Baltimore, and it's not going to be fun.
That'll be a fun sweat for you when it's 44-0 Phillies. What's your favorite Pirates bat right now? I think we're on the same page. Yeah, it's got to bet on talent when the rest of the lineup doesn't have it. Do you go to Cincinnati? Because they are getting quite a bit of ownership, double digits across the board on DK, except for Freddie Galvis. On FanDuel, we've got Eugenio Suarez at 37%, Castellanos at 30%. I think this is probably my bigger fade spot, and that kind of runs right in line with the likelihood that I probably have more Trevor Williams.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. It's not a spot that I'm going to feel really comfortable fading because, like I said, I think this lineup sets up poorly for Williams. They have a lot of lefties. The righties, are good hitters. The lefties are good hitters. It's a pretty good Cincinnati lineup. It's a great park for hitting. The implied run total reflects that. I have no confidence in Trevor Williams doing well here, but it's just kind of, I think Philly, so Philly's facing an absolute trash pitcher. Tampa Bay is facing a pitcher who's probably not very good. We don't know. And Cincinnati's facing what is most likely, while he's not a great pitcher, by far the best out of the three.
Yeah.
The Phillies have the most dangerous lineup. The Red Sox and Reds are kind of similar. I would give the edge right now to Cincy. But if all those teams are getting similar ownership, I think there's a really good chance I'd just go overweight on Philly, sacrifice some Tampa, sacrifice some Cincy, and then mix my Philly in with low-owned Baltimore, low-owned Pittsburgh, etc.
I like that. Do you have a Reds bat that stands out to you?
Akiyama's too cheap leading off. He seems like he's probably a really clear cash play.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't think there's one in particular.
Eugenio Suarez on FanDuel is also a pretty clear cash play. $2,900, 37% ownership. That one feels pretty safe. Oh, this is going to be a weird game. I think it's just so much easier to go. Okay, so here's the real question then, because I've got them pretty similar relative to their salaries. DeSclafani and Jake Arrieta are picking up similar ownership, 30% apiece. Do you have a lean towards one of those guys?
I think DeSclafani's the better pitcher.
Sure. Okay.
So I guess I would lean DeSclafani.
There we go. That works for me. Man, I'm excited to run these crunches in a couple hours. Anything else you want to touch on from this game?
Nope.
All right, 264 people in here, 47 likes. I'm not going to get crazy and ask for 260 likes. That's going to be insane. But I think that we can get that number into triple digits. So hit that thumbs up if you can for us. We've got 2 more games to go. We're going to have MLB Live Before Lock a little early today. That's going to go from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. since we should have we should have everything that we can have at that point. And then NBA Live Before Lock is going to be from 3 to 4, since both sports are locking at the same time. And then tonight, MMA Strategy Show, 7:30 p.m., Jason Floyd and Pete the Heat Rogers going to be breaking down this Saturday's monster UFC pay-per-view. You want to make sure that you're tuning into that one if you're an MMA fan. 2 games left. Cubbies and Brewers, 4.9 run implied total for the Cubs, 3.6 for the Brewers. It's Yu Darvish against, from what I've seen, Corbin Burns.
I'm seeing Brett Anderson.
Okay, well, let's find out. That's important. Alrighty, Brew Crew. Bruins say Brett Anderson opener, Corbin Burns probable starter.
Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing that now too.
Okay.
So Burns threw 77 pitches last time he followed Brett Anderson. So he's followed Brett Anderson twice. Threw 77 pitches last time. Anderson has thrown 52 and 68 pitches.
I gave Corbin Burns 3.7 innings. Right now, we aren't projecting him for ownership. What are we projecting to Brett Anderson? Essentially no ownership. Does it matter to you?
Yeah, because Corbin Burns has pretty legit strikeout stuff.
Okay. I'm not
better against righties. Last year, he basically was incapable of getting lefties out. This year, small sample, but he is throwing a cutter that he didn't have last year, and he has a 17.5% swinging strike percentage on it against lefties.
MLB.com has Brett Anderson listed. That doesn't necessarily mean that Brett Anderson isn't starting and Corbin Burns isn't coming in for him. Are you seeing anything official anywhere?
No.
How are you expecting? Let's see. How are you expecting this to go then, or is that TBD?
TBD. I mean, the thing that's throwing me off is that it made sense that Burns was backing up Anderson because they were working Anderson back.
Yeah.
Now Anderson threw 68 pitches last start. Unless their plan is to have Anderson go 4 innings and Burns go the rest of the game, it seems really weird to still be using an opener on Brett Anderson.
Yeah, I completely agree.
As an opener, like he's a starting pitcher.
I completely agree. I'm going to switch it to Brett Anderson right now in my sheet.
I want it to be Corbin Burns.
3, 6, 9, 12.
I would like this slate a lot more if I can roster Corbin Burns.
So would I. All right, let's update that and we'll see if it makes a difference for me. So if I switch to Brett Anderson, I'm probably not getting to Brett Anderson either. So it really, in that regard, it probably doesn't matter for me. So let's talk it through. He's unowned. Do you like Brett Anderson if it's Brett Anderson?
I don't like Brett Anderson. If it's Brett Anderson, I might still just roster Corbin Burns and hope for the
best. Fair enough. Well, as of right now, I can pretty confidently say that I won't have Brett Anderson, and I can pretty confidently say that I will have Yu Darvish, 40% owned on FanDuel, 41% owned on DraftKings. I think he's definitely the top arm on the slate. Is he worth the salary for today?
Yeah. There's just so many strikeouts in this Brewers lineup right now.
Yeah, Keston Hera, 27% K rate, and Steamer, Smoke, 25, Ben Gamble, 26. There's a lot to be had there from a strikeout perspective.
Yeah, I mean, Braun and Garcia are both like 24% against right-handed pitching over the last few years. Hera's 30%.
Assuming 41% is not going to be a barrier to you and that you end up higher than that on Darvish?
Most likely.
Yeah, I expect to have quite a bit more than 41% here. Do you go to any Brewers hedge stacks? 3.6 run implied total. Power for lefties, not really there in Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically looking for like Christian Yelich or Justin Smoke.
Yeah.
I don't expect to get to much Milwaukee. Right now, we have them as the lowest top stack percentage and getting more ownership than they deserve. The ownership would have to drop quite a bit, and it just probably won't with it being a 5-game slate.
Yeah, I'm with you here. Yelich 4,400 on FanDuel, 31% ownership. Looks like people are going ahead and grabbing him as a one-off. I just don't.
Looking at the low probability stacks, I would rather go to Boston.
That makes sense to me. I'm going to have a bunch of Darvish. The question is, will you have a bunch of the Cubs bats, 4.9 run implied total against probably Brett Anderson?
Yeah, I'll say it depends who's pitching. If Brett Anderson's pitching, I do like the salaries on Javi Baez and Contreras, Chris Bryant if he's in the lineup.
Okay.
If it's Corbin Burns, you're looking for lefties, so it would be Rizzo and Schwarber. But even that, I think if it comes out that it's Corbin Burns, I'm just going to have a ton of Corbin Burns.
Okay. Ownership coming in on the Cubs. Bryant, Baez, and Contreras all in the 20s on DraftKings. Bryant 29% owned on FanDuel. Javi Baez 37% owned. I think this is just like a middle of the pack team. I assume that I don't have near the ownership on the chalk plays, and I'll probably be over a bit on guys like Rizzo or Schwarber. Schwarber in particular, if he's 3% owned on DraftKings, I just know I'm going to have more. I always do. And that's whether it's Brett Anderson or Corbin Burns. What do you do? What are you going to do with the Cubs here? This is like the park has just wild swings. It obviously matters who the pitcher is.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely matters who the pitcher is. If it's Brett Anderson, I'll take I'll have Cub stacks just because the right-handed power is pretty cheap, and with all the ownership going to the Reds, Phillies, and Rays, you can only get so much ownership. If it's Corbin Burns, again, I'm just gonna have tons of Corbin Burns.
What did you say about the wind in Chicago today?
It looks like it's blowing in.
Okay. Makes me feel better about Darvish.
Yeah, the Vegas run total doesn't really reflect that, with the Cubs still at about 5. But
okay. Favorite bat from the Brewers?
I mean, the answer is obviously Christian Yelich. But
you could talk me into Castanera.
Yeah, but why would you prefer Hira to Yelich?
Depends because I need a second baseman. I forgot to tell you that part of the question.
Yeah, okay.
It's not true. Favorite bat on the Cubs? Assuming Brett Anderson.
Yeah, assuming Anderson, probably Contreras because of his position.
Ooh, okay. Give me Bryant because of the MPE.
Yeah. Also, Bryant and Schwarber both listed as questionable, so the potential for this to be a pretty bad Cubs lineup.
Do you think we have the Cubs lineup before lock?
Doubtful if those guys are both questionable.
That'll be a blast.
Yep.
I don't have anything else here. Do you have anything else you want to touch on from Cubs Brewers?
No, because I mean, we don't think we're going to have the Cubs lineup. I was going to say, keep an eye out because that'll change. Not only are you waiting for the Milwaukee pitching, but it'll change, how they project. But I would say there's very close to no chance we have the Cubs.
Does that change your process at all approaching lock?
Just makes me annoyed.
Okay, you don't do anything different for baseball with that up in the air?
No, I mean it's easy enough to switch. Like the one, I hate recrunching lineups to late swap for baseball.
Yeah.
I just don't have a good process for it to keep my stacks in line, but also keep my ownerships how I want them. So I hate that aspect of it, but it's typically easy enough within a stack to just swap guys around.
Okay. And then finally, we head to the Dodgers and Padres. This one starts at 9:40 Eastern time. This is not a part of the FanDuel slate. So for once, I actually think FanDuel is doing something correct. DraftKings, on the other hand, it is a part. These are 5 hours and 30 minutes separating the first pitch of lock and the first pitch of the final game. 4.6 run implied total for the Dodgers. 3.9 for the Padres. It's Julio. It's Urias, right? That's the ridiculous way to say it.
Yeah, I think it's Urias.
Yeah. It's so much easier to say Urias. Anyway, Julio Urias,
He'll be hurt in the next 2 starts anyway. You won't worry about it.
most likely. And then Chris Paddock going for the Padres. 32% ownership on DraftKings going to Urias, 21% going to Chris Paddock. I prefer Chris Paddock. Talk to me here about Urias. 9,600. Maybe it's just me, but I think it's more likely that I have 0% of him than a different number.
I don't know about 0 because I think he is talented.
Sure.
And
yeah. I mean, I understand his pedigree at the very least.
Yeah. The problem that I'll run into is I clearly prefer Darvish. And then why exactly am I all the risks, I already, mentioned all the risks or all the problems Glasnow has, but why exactly am I paying more money for Urias than Glasnow? It's not like Urias is some proven ace. It's not like he has a great matchup against a Padres team that has right-handed power top to bottom.
Right.
I just don't really know why I'd be paying more money for him, especially when he's getting ownership.
Yeah, I have no idea. If he's
make
truly
sense to me,
32,
like,
I truly don't think I'll have any.
Right. Like if it comes like if Glasnow gets to, let's say, what's Glasnow at right now? Ownership.
29.
Okay, so let's say Glasnow gets to like 40, you have Darvish at like 50, and then Urias is at like 20. Then it's like, okay, this is a good spot to get to. But if he's coming in around the same ownership as Glasnow, I don't really, as scared as I am to roster Glasnow right now, I don't really know why I'd be passing him up.
I am going to have almost no Urias and a lot of Padres bats. Now, I had a lot of Padres bats yesterday. That didn't work out at all, considering they scored 0 runs. They did, however, leave
bats like every day.
24 runners on base or something like that when I woke up this morning. First thing I did, I was like, okay, if the Padres had a decent day, I will be profitable to pretty solid. Let's find out how they did. And I opened up the MLB.com app. I went straight to the box score. I want to make sure I get the number right. Well, first I saw that they scored 0 runs and immediately wanted to drown myself in my toilet.
Yeah, it sucks.
But they left 21 on base yesterday.
That's pretty impressive.
So
yeah, I had that feeling the other day. I had when I went to sleep, most of my baseball lineup sucked, but I had like an unowned A stack making a run. They had like 9 runs in the 4th or 5th inning, and I fell asleep. And so I woke up and I was like, I know if I had a big night, I mean, the A's had to have gone off. And I looked, and they still had 9 runs, and the game was over. I was like, okay, well, that lineup didn't do anything.
Do you have the X ISO numbers on Urias right now against righties?
I will in a second.
Okay.
Oh, I actually already do. So since last year, 1,052 pitches to righties, 105 expected ISO. So far this year, 200 pitches to righties, 0.093 expected ISO.
105?
105.
To righties?
To righties.
Shit, that's scary.
Since last year.
That's really good.
0.093 this year.
I'm going to have a lot of Tatis. I'm going to have a lot of Machado. I'm going to have a lot of Tommy Pham. I'm going to have a lot of Will Myers. The San Diego Padres will be my most owned stack above the field today.
In his entire career, which goes back to 2016, his expected ISO to righties is 105.
Yeah. Well,
his actual ISO is 0.83.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good too. What do you want to do with the Padres bats? What do you want to do with Chris Paddock first, I guess, against a pretty tough Dodgers lineup?
Yeah, he's the kind of guy where, like, if this slate were bigger, I would have some interest in him just because he's so talented and the ownership would go down. But with there only being 10 pitchers to choose from, 9 if you exclude Eshelman, 8 if you exclude Eshelman and Hart, like, he's going to have ownership. And normally I just kind of end up going even heavier on the guys I actually like Darvish.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's the math just changes when you're not talking about getting 6-1 odds between Darvish and Paddock. You're talking about getting 2-1.
Oh, 100%. I'm just same way as you. I'm going to just the more likely scenario is that I have like all of the Yu Darvish and hope that ends up being correct. Other than just like having a hedge of everybody.
What I end up doing today is, and I haven't made any lineups, so this is just me guessing after looking through the slate. My best guess is I end up with a ton of Darvish, probably going over on Glass now unless his ownership comes up. And then just kind of mixing and matching on the cheap guys. Also, probably just playing a lot of Darvish and Glass now together and using some value bets.
Yeah. All right. Talk to me about Padres bats. Am I totally crazy for liking them today?
For liking them, yes. For rostering them at low ownership, no. I mean, they have a lot of power and they're not going to be very popular. If you think they actually have a high chance of success, yeah, I think you're crazy.
Okay. Well, I don't think that they have a high chance of success, but because of Urias's ownership, because of their lack of ownership, I have interest in the Padres.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if the question is, am I crazy for being interested in Fernando Tatis, Manny Machado, and Tommy Pham at very low ownership on a 5-game slate, then no.
Okay.
It wouldn't really matter who was pitching for the other team.
Do you anticipate having Padres stacks?
I probably maybe some like mini stacks.
Okay. It's so easy to get to that stack with Tatis and Machado at the top, shortstop third. Like that makes it really easy to get to.
Yeah, I mean, right now we have them being a little bit on their own.
Okay. I said it yesterday.
Man, I can't wait for all my Orioles plus Padres.
I said it yesterday in Premium Slack. Go Padres. I'm saying it again today. Go Pods. Dodgers bats against Chris Paddock. Not a lot of love coming in here. Bellinger in double digits. Max Muncy in double digits. Everybody else in single digits. I'm sort of just happy with whatever Dodgers I get. I don't really, it's not like, I think Chris Paddock is good. He's not a guy that I want to target against. I also think Dodgers bats are good. So they're just going to kind of come out where they come out. I don't really have a lean either way.
I mean, that's how I feel too, but I view them kind of similarly as the Padres as far as like the top stack percentage and the ownership goes. Like they're projected to be a little bit higher owned than the Padres. They're also projected for a little bit higher chance of success. Yeah. But I would just rather get to the Dodgers if those numbers hold. Like I think that top to bottom, their lineup is better. You know, you have a couple guys on the Padres that look good. But Paddock also has allowed some power to left-handed bats since last year. A 202 ISO, 199 expected ISO to lefties. He's done a little bit better job limiting power to righties. But there's at least, you know, some track record of him struggling there, whereas Urias is just, it's non-existent.
This one's tricky. I think I just get to more Padres if this ownership holds up the way that it is, with Paddock being at 20 and Urias being in the 30s. Like if he stays being in the 30s, then I'm just going to naturally get more Padres. If that were to flip somehow, then I think I definitely get more Dodgers bats. The pieces of this game, the bats on both sides and the pitching on both sides, the ownership of all of those things, more so than probably any other game, are really important to the way that I come out of this spot. I think the most likely scenario for me as of right now is I do not have Urias. I do have the Padres, and I cross my fingers.
Yeah, I think that's me, but with the Dodgers.
Okay. No Urias or no Paddock in that spot?
I just meant the bats. I didn't hear the first part of what you said.
Gotcha. I think that I'll have no Urias, and I'm more likely to be whatever on Paddock. Same for the Dodgers.
Yeah, I kind of doubt that I get them much of either pitcher unless their ownership drops.
Okay. Well, that'll do it. Let's sum it up quickly. Favorite stack, favorite pitching duo for DK?
Ideally, Phillies, Darvish, Glasnow.
Okay. And then for FanDuel, for me, Darvish at the top. Darvish and Glasnow will likely have all of my ownership on the 4-gamer for FanDuel. Phillies are very clearly my top stack. I don't get the Padres, unfortunately, in this spot. So I think I might end up having some sneaky Cubs stacks on FanDuel. That'll be something I got to pay attention to.
Yeah. And since I named just nothing but chalk, I do like mixing in Pirates lefties and Orioles lefties.
There we go. 277 people, 84 likes. You guys are so close. 16 more, and I will be happy, but that'll about do it. We've got Live Before Lock coming up in 2 hours, so you guys can get caught up on all of the MLB news that comes out at that time. Adam, anything else you want to touch on?
No, that's it for me today.
That'll do it. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you to Yahoo for allowing us to let you guys know you can become a baller if you want to. Get them YSRPs, use the promo code Awesemo, get yourself up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. Tons of content coming up for the rest of the day, so please tune in to our YouTube channel. It never stops for us. Thank you. Good luck. We out.